Tell me about your son.
What would you like to know?
Everything. I want to know everything.
Why?
Why do I want to know about your son? Because he killed mine.
It's not our fault, Richard.
I am trying to recover from this. Hey, what's going on out there, YouTube family? This is Sammy Leggy here representing Team JVS. I'm back here again for another movie review. The name of this movie is called Mask. The principal synopsis is that the aftermath of a tragedy that befalls two couples, you find out affects them completely differently. Now, this is directed by Fran Kranz, and if you've seen the trailer, you know that one of the couple's sons kills the other couple's son, and they decide to meet in this designated church location to talk. This is starring Jason Isaacs, Ann Dowd, Martha Plimpton, as well as Birney. And Reed and Ann are Linda and Richard, and then Jason and Martha are Jay and Gail. Jay and Gail are the parents that, their son was killed by Linda and Richard's characters. This movie, I've had so many difficulties just trying to even get to see the film. Small little snippet. And when I finally started watching it, and I realized how immersive it was, the movie's dialogue and the script are the things that make this pop. My perception of the lines were blurred as to what I was actually really watching. Because initially I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be a setup for this scene. This is going to be a setup for that scene. These characters are introduced to give you a little moment of levity, and they're just awkward, and then it's going to bring you to this. Little do I know that, when all four characters get there, that it was literally going to be a massacre. Like I was going to be emotionally massacred, because the believability of the execution of how vivid and specific every line of dialogue is just phenomenal. And just for me, particularly as a critic, I am a huge sucker for storytelling. Whether it is, a profoundly amazing, beautiful story or a tragic story, whether it's like different categories of a process of how the human mind and human relation works, and just off of dialogue alone, some of the best anime for me, that it hit me emotionally, it brought me to tears, weren't, a tragic thing that you actually physically see. It's more so the actual dialogue and the distinctness of how potent words, communication, and a story really truly can be. And that is the heart and soul of Mask. The dialogue between the different couples and their stories, talking about their two sons and talking about their lives and how their lives were ripped apart from this, and how certain things and aspects of what they even truly believe anymore have changed, how people perceive them, how people look at them. The amount of things that they go through in this one movie in terms of dialogue, I can best say this, there's not any stone unturned as to your perception of either one of the families, any one of the characters, either of the sons. And that's the amazing part about this, because the actors that are playing this, specifically Jason Isaacs and Ann Dowd plays one of the most sick and messed up people in, Handmaid's Tale. Jason Isaacs always plays a really bad, evil person. But their performances were so sincere. Like, they were broken and messed up individuals. And specifically Ann played this character that was beyond sympathetic. Like, you just felt all the life that she had was like on a small string. and she's playing it so beautifully. And the interesting thing is, like, Reed, Birney, that plays her husband, like, he starts off like really kind of like brass and shrewd, like to the book. And I was like, okay, I don't care, this is all normal. And then you start to see his character evolve and unwind. Oh my gosh. And the funny thing is, it starts off with Jason Isaac and Martha Plimpton's characters, Gail and Jay. They are the ones that come on site first. And one of the first lines of dialogue that happens is that, Martha's character, Gail, says, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do it. I can't do it. And she's like, just drive somewhere. And just goes irate. And to the point when you get there and you're like, you can tell the tension. So it was this building, and I know I'm gushing about the dialogue, I'm gushing about the storytelling aspects of it, but this is what makes and defines this film. Because I could say, yeah, the blocking and the close-ups and the director's inherent understanding of human emotion and how to linger on a person or how not to linger on a person, how to focus on an actual. So I'll give you an example. So say one of the two couples are talking, the camera focuses on the other person, the other couple, and just smart ideas like that to allow the space that they're in to feel so huge. Because again, they're in a small room, this in a church, and as the story progresses, as things just go on, like, you feel the whole world that they have lived throughout just their open lines of conversation. This is easily Jason Isaacs' best acting performance he's ever done. Martha and Reed are phenomenal. But Ann Dowd, really, her innocence and her sincerity and her attempt to understand, it was beautiful. It was nearly the most sad, beautiful experience that I've had in a film in quite some time. Like, I'm not gonna tear up. I'm not gonna do that while I'm sitting doing this review. But I can say that when they start telling different stories of their children, and what they define their children as, like, one of the open lines of dialogue is like, what was the value of my child? Or the other one was maybe like, what do you classify your child as, given what he's done, and like, there's a moment where the character Reed, it kind of says, and it's a small spoiler, but he's like, I know what my son has done. I know his cause. I know what he's done. But I cannot bring myself to say that the being that was brought into this world through me was evil. And like it was just so elemental, like, in the way that it was delivered, the line. But the line itself, in the specific of it, is so crazy. And to that parallel, Martha talking about, the son that she lost, and talking about, like, what he meant, for her. And just, it's therapy. It's therapeutic on an emotional resonant level, but it's so sad and so damaging at the same time. But it's so much beauty behind it. So much beauty behind why this movie exists and the backdrop of it, even though it is one of the most saddest things, I've seen. And it's interesting. And again, I had a conversation with Lucas about this, and Lucas is kind of like, well, it seems like it's kind of set up for a stage kind of play. And kind of technically, in certain aspects, I guess you could say that, but it's just so blatantly raw and expressive and real. And even as a parent, like, it's heartbreaking. Like, you can't fathom either side of this. Like, and I guess that's the other interesting thing, when you have, like, actors that normally play evil characters and they're not, And yet the lines about this is like blurred of like what is evil and what is not. It's just so fascinating. This is an easy 10 out of 10 for me. I was caught off guard by this, and it emotionally wrecked me. Hopefully I can recover. Hopefully you guys enjoy this review. Keep it locked. JVS, we ain't gonna stop. Peace, guys.